Oh, yeah, all
Kathy
these...
Freeman.
Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up.
Bol.
What I want to do today is I want to say congratulations to Albo.
Yeah.
You've only gone and done it, you mad lad. The first Prime Minister to be married while he's Prime Ministering or whatever.
To be getting married while being... I guess the first Prime Minister to probably get the state to pay for his wedding.
You know? Pretty funny.
Like, he had it at the lodge.
Yeah, he did. Good. Hey, good for you, man.
Yeah, you
Especially
did.
because, like, what? I heard, like, those complaints about people who live in the lodge, you know, the prime ministers or whatever that live in the lodge. They're like, oh, yeah, there's always possum piss everywhere.
Yeah.
The walls are stained with possum piss because of all the possums that live in the fucking ceiling.
Yeah, well... and
That's really funny.
All the possums that live in the trees, I have to assume, because
Yeah.
it's all gated off from the community, so you can't let the Prime Minister be walking around who's never there.
You know?
Remember when Peter Dutton was like, oh, I wouldn't live at the lodge? It was like, no one's going to ask you to, Peter.
It's so funny because, like, every time somebody gets elected, they're like, oh, you're going to live at the lodge? And they're like, I'm going to be traveling around a lot, so probably not. I mean, obviously, when I'm in Canberra, I'll go to the lodge. I'll stay at the lodge.
I'll host a party at the lodge. We'll break that
We're
table
not gonna,
or
like,
whatever.
fucking live at the lodge.
No, we're not going to fucking live it. Look, if the Prime Minister got elected and was somebody who lived in Canberra already, let's say Andrew Barr becomes Prime Minister.
All right, Andrew Barr.
He's
Andrew
going
Barr
to
for PM.
stay in his, like, 2-bedroom in Dixon.
You know,
He's
it's
not
just
gonna
like,
move
I
to
don't
the
want to go to the lodge. Nobody wants to live at the fucking lodge.
Nobody wants
It's
to live at
so
the fucking
funny.
lodge, but it must have been a beautiful venue for what was no doubt a gorgeous wedding with all of Australia's richest and most powerful people in it. I mean, Albanese's friends in attendance.
Friends and family. And his dog got to be the ring bearer. Yes, Toto.
Yeah, I have, no issues with Toto Albanese.
Toto Albanese, completely unproblematic.
People entitled to their sexual proclivities. I mean, let there be 1,000 blossoms bloom. But I ain't spending any time on it. But I ain't spending any time on it. But I ain't spending any time on it. Let there be 1,000 blossoms bloom. But I ain't spending any time on it.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
And by everybody, I guess I mean Yanni.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Yanni.
Hey.
Welcome back to Shouldn'ta Come, a podcast about the Australia we all know, love, and should never have birthed into existence.
All right, let's not throw around words like love.
Okay. Today we're going to be talking about the first female leader of the Federal Liberal Party and the first female leader of the opposition. And it's the same woman, Sussan Ley!
Oh!
Yay!
Right, so Julia was never opposition leader.
I don't believe so, no.
She went straight into being Prime Minister.
Yeah, she was just like Prime Minister.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So,
All right,
hey,
Sussan Ley.
Sussan's getting it done.
And I'm seeing, we've got Sussan Ley on the screen right here.
Yes.
And I'm seeing it spelled Sussan. There's 2 S's there.
That's correct.
Like the clothing store.
That is correct.
So is she heir to, like, the Sussan Clothing Store empire?
God, I would love for that to be the case. Unfortunately, no.
All right.
What do you know about Sussan Ley?
So I knew that she had the Sussan situation. I know she's had some, like, wild swings. Kind of. Like, that's all I kind of hear is, like, Sussan Ley is just going to believe a different thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I know she's in trouble. I don't really read them because I know we've been waiting for this episode, but every headline I see is just like, this or that person considers challenge against Sussan Ley. She is in trouble. I want to quote Charles Barkley.
Go on. I'm going to fucking kill you.
Yeah, that's basically
No,
that.
not that quote?
No, not that quote.
Okay.
The United States team was going to play against Angola in a basketball tournament, in the Olympics, in a basketball tournament. And some reporters like, Chuck, what do you think about Angola? He's like, I don't know what Angola is, but Angola's in trouble.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel
that.
about Sussan Ley.
Absolutely. And you're right to say so, I think. To kind of explore who the fuck Sussan is, right? Because, who the fuck is Sussan? I've devised a simple 3-question system by which we will order and summarize Sussan's life so far. Maybe we'll learn something, maybe we won't, but by God, we will be talking about Sussan Ley for the next hour.
Sussan Ley.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Chapter 1. Where are you from?
Me?
Well, no.
Okay.
No. Where are you from, though you've mentioned it? Where are you from can be a pretty loaded question, and it can mean a variety of things, depending on who's asking and who's answering. It could be about where you live now, where you've lived in the past, the origin of your family, your genetic or cultural heritage, yada, 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 yada.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we were to ask Sussan Ley where she's from, you might receive a few completely different answers. So let's start at the beginning, shall we?
Yeah, she's from the trees.
So it is the 14th of December, 1961, in the Northern Hemisphere. Typically a time you would expect, like, cooler weather.
Honey, it's cold outside.
However, it is a balmy 22 degrees in the city of
What the fuck?
Kano, Nigeria, as Susan Penelope Braybrooks enters the world.
Wait, Karno? The city's name is Karno?
Or Kano.
C-A-N-O?
K-A-N-O.
Kano what, you know? Nigeria?
Nigeria.
Right, so she's, like, what, nearer the equator?
I suppose so,
Probably
yeah.
like, yeah, it's, like, nice. Damn, looks kind of like Brisbane.
Yeah,
Lot
this is
of
like a...
roads going off in other directions.
You know, they'll go places.
Wait, so damn, I didn't know she was African-Australian.
Yeah, you know, born in Nigeria. And yeah, not to spoil anything, she only has one S in the middle of her name at this point.
Yeah, so it's just
This
Susan.
is your standard Susan spelling.
It's magic for Susans.
Magic for Susans.
What's her last name again?
Braybrooks.
Susan Braybrooks.
That's her.
Damn, and she's like the hottest like Nigerian rapper.
Damn.
She's gonna be the next Jory song.
Fuck.
If you balance Susan, I'll give you paper.
So I guess if you meant to ask Susan where she was born when you ask where you are you from, the answer would be Nigeria, which is crazy.
Hey, where are you from? Oh, Nigeria.
Nigeria.
That's what I'm gonna name my daughter.
Nigeria. So Susan is the second child of Angela and Edgar, two British expats currently living abroad. Their oldest, John, was born only a year prior.
When you call them their oldest John, sounds like they've got a few
Their
Johns.
oldest John.
Their oldest kid, John.
The oldest John, then there's the youngest John,
the youngest
middle
John.
John. So
Little
they're
John.
They're two Brits living in Nigeria in the late 50s and early 60s, and that's kind of fucking weird, right?
Like, I don't like the sound of it.
Yeah, you shouldn't. So, to explain what the Braybrooks are doing there, I'll give you a
Yeah.
bit of a basic rundown on what's going on in Nigeria at
Oh,
this
what's
time.
all this then?
What's all this then?
You call this Lagos?
Lagos. So from the mid-1800s, Britain had its sights set on Nigeria as a fun new addition to the sprawling British Empire. Ostensibly, Britain was interested in destroying the Atlantic slave trade, and they were making their way down West Africa doing deals and installing leaders who were aligned with their goals. In 1852, after bombing Lagos and deposing the pro-slave trade leader, a treaty between Lagos and Britain was signed under the authority of the new anti-slave and totally chill with the English leader. In essence, the treaty banned the slave trade and allowed British military presence in the area, you know, for defensive reasons.
For defensive reasons. Just the really normal thing that there's just British soldiers.
Yeah.
Wherever you are in the world.
Less than a decade later, in 1861, Lagos was functionally annexed by Britain again under the guise of, slave trade bad, we will keep you safe.
Yeah. And that was something that the British Empire had very convenient, you know, arm's length things with the slave trade to make
Yes.
sure that they could still get the profits of slavery. We talked about this actually in
Absolutely.
the Saudi episode
Exactly that.
recently.
So, the Lagos Treaty of Cession was resisted at first. However, when Britain made it clear that it would simply fuck their shit up if they didn't sign it, I mean, what do you think was going to happen?
Yes.
Basically, I think there's a story where essentially a bunch of British Navy vessels were just like sitting outside like the port and were basically like, if you don't sign, we're going to start shooting.
Yeah, simple as that.
Yeah.
It-
And so they were like, oh,
And you know what?
Got
that's,
it.
That's non-violence.
that's non-violence. Exactly. That's the Civil West.
That's the Civil West. It's amazing that just 8 years later we went to the moon.
Fuck. Anyway, after claiming Lagos, Britain delved further into the region, defeating and subsequently colonizing kingdoms along the Niger River. By 1900, the Southern Nigeria Protectorate was formed, mandating British rule across the coast of Nigeria. Expansion, however, doesn't stop. By 1906, all organized resistance to British rule and occupation in Nigeria had been destroyed. Jumping forward 40 years, at the end of World War II, there was a wave of independence movements in nations across Africa, including Nigeria. On the 1st of October 1960, just over a year before Susan was born, Nigeria formally gained their independence from the UK. Okay, so why are the Braybooks there?
Yeah, what are you still doing there?
Well, Edgar, Susan's father, was
Edgar.
was described in some sources as a colonial police officer.
Oh, he's a Cup.
Yeah,
Ed Cup.
and others say that he was a British intelligence officer.
So he's... That's worse.
Yeah.
British intelligence officer.
British intelligence officer, which I do have to say is actually what he was.
He's a British, so he's a spy.
He's like doing the deals and shit, and like he's like...
He's a fixer of some sort.
Yes, exactly. Now, when
He's the type of chap who gets things done.
Exactly.
You need something done, you call Edgar Braybrook.
You get Edgar Braidbrooks on it.
You need something smoothed out in Legos, you call Edgar.
Edgar. And either way, whether it was like colonial police officer or fucking spy, he was enforcing or at least attempting to exert British authority in Nigeria at the time of independence.
Yeah, he's doing cap stuff.
He is, absolutely. And of course, given the timing of all of that, Edgar's role in Nigeria was no longer necessary to Britain. And as a foot soldier for colonialism, his next assignment took him and the Braybrook family to...
Where are you going?
The Trucial States.
Oh, wow!
We getting that rap money.
Hey, I can't believe we're talking about the Trucial States 2 weeks in a row.
I know. Isn't that funny? When it was brought up last week, I was like...
That's crazy. The Trucial States.
Yep.
For those who don't know, I imagine you're going to tell the audience what they are.
The Trucial States, so they're a portion of the Gulf. I can't remember which countries they were, but I know the Braybrooks in specifically were in the parts that would become the UAE.
Yeah. I think most of the Trucial States is the UAE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where Susan's first memories are, right? So
Right.
she is literally in Nigeria for like a year as a baby, and then they're shot over to the Trucial States.
Yeah, I'm Arab Nigerian.
Yeah. Oh, I'm Arab Nigerian.
It's like, that's a beautiful name.
Oh, wow. That's so pretty. So Susan says in an interview with the New South Wales Migration Heritage Centre the following.
We first lived in Qatar, then Sharjah, then Dubai, and then Abu Dhabi, and then Al Ain. I moved throughout the Emirates because of my father's job. He was attached to British intelligence and worked with the sheiks, the rulers of the Emirates at the time. It was a fascinating environment to grow up in. The desert was beautiful. I think I got my love of the Australian outback from the desert. I remember the peculiar smells of the desert, the smell of heat, the smell of people, and the smells of the market. As a child, I wanted to be out in that world exploring, rather than inside an air-conditioned environment, but it wasn't that simple. My memories of the Middle East were very much defined by the sights, the sounds, the smells, the feel, but mostly the landscape. The landscape is the thing I miss most about that part of the world.
So already this is kind of like an unusual childhood, right?
Yeah, she's like the precocious young debutante of the British intelligence officer working with sheiks.
Yeah.
In the Trucial States.
It's fucking wild, right?
Fucking hell.
And it gets more unrelatable when her older brother John is sent to an English boarding school at 7 years old.
Is it Eton?
No, it's not.
Okay.
And 4 years later, when Susan turns 10, she is also jetted across the world to her ancestral homeland and set up at a boarding school in Sussex.
She must sound fucking absurd.
Yes, absolutely.
What the fuck? How you gonna start in Nigeria, live with some sheiks for a while, and then you go into Sussex?
Yeah.
The South Saxon land?
Insane stuff.
Fucking hell.
So even though she and John are both in England at this point, their schools are in completely different parts of the country, so they don't see each other either during the school term.
Damn.
The only time it seems the family is reunited was when the children would head back to the UAE twice a year during school break.
Oh, yes, I'm just heading back to the Trucial States to see my parents.
Exactly.
You know, I hear that from people these days, actually, as well. It's like, oh, my parents live in Dubai.
Yeah, oh, I'm going to Dubai for the holidays. Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
You know, she's just ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Just as Susan turns 13, her parents announce to the kids that they're leaving the Arabian Peninsula and moving to Australia. But why Australia?
Why Australia?
Funnily enough, both Angela and Edgar had already been there before they'd even met.
Oh.
So, Angela had travelled to Australia in her early 20s to work as a nurse for a few years before she goes back to England.
Yes.
And it's literally like not very long after she gets back to England that a mysterious woman, and that's how she's described in Susan's telling, introduces Angela to Edgar.
A mysterious woman?
A mysterious woman. No shit.
We don't get anything else?
Nothing.
That's just she was mysterious?
Just a mysterious woman introduces
her to this spy?
Yeah. And basically, they go on a few dates.
That was M. That was
right?
Dame Judi Dench in the fucking catsuit.
You know? With her watch on and everything.
With her watch on and her vagina out. Was that...
All right, ladies, watch on. Vagina out. out.
Pussy monologue.
Pussy monologue. We're going Winnie the Pooh style. Let's fucking go.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so that's crap. I could find no more information
No,
on
they're
that.
set up by the British state.
Basically.
I don't fucking know. It was the Queen. Like, I don't fucking know.
So essentially, the two of them go on a couple of dates, and then Edgar goes back to Nigeria, and he writes her a letter 6 weeks later and says, hey, move to Nigeria and marry me.
Yeah.
And Angela's like, yeah, all right. I got nothing else to do.
I got nothing else
she
to
just
do.
fucking moves to Nigeria and marries him.
We have all this Nigeria I could be living in.
You know?
Let me go.
Fucking crazy. So apparently when Edgar went to Australia, it was very different than, like, you know, being a nurse and helping people. In two different accounts that Susan said, on one, he went on a crocodile shooting safari.
That makes sense.
And on the other, to shoot kangaroos.
That makes sense.
So he's just going to, like, kill things.
Like, whatever he's doing, he's here to shoot Australian fauna.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
enjoying it. It's just, the question is really how wet he's getting while doing it.
Exactly that.
Yeah. I mean, he's
getting
hard
wet,
as fuck. No,
like,
he's rock hard the entire time.
Yeah.
But is he rock hard and arid or rock hard and swampy?
Correct.
You
These
know?
are things we'll never know.
We can't.
And, like, his story is probably wild, right, Edgar?
Yeah, he's a British spy who just goes all over the
Right?
British territories, taking advantage of people.
Yeah, and, like, I tried doing research on him, and I was able to see, like, some records of, like, him, like, leaving the country, entering the country, like, you know, travel records and stuff. He served in, like, World War II as well. He, like, spent some time in Singapore, but I could find nothing about what he did in Singapore other than he was in Singapore for a bit. The only thing that I got, like, that was, like, solid as, like, an official source of, like, whatever he did was from the London Gazette in 1973. He's listed as receiving an MBE, you know, most excellent bullshit or whatever, for services to British interests in the Trucial States.
British interests in the Trucial States. I mean, British interests traditionally are ensuring that all of the children in their colonies are well-fed, well-educated, free. That's not British interests?
No, I'm afraid not.
No, I'm so sorry.
Wah, wah. So, you know, anyway, but back to Susan. So the Braybrook's children touched down in Australia for the first time in July of 1974.
Okay.
They've come directly from England, while their parents have been at a hobby farm that would become the family's new home, just outside of Toowoomba.
Oh, Toowoomba. That makes... Toowoomba?
Toowoomba. They land in Brisbane and they go to Toowoomba.
Like, because it's cheap land, I guess.
Yeah,
Like, that, like, makes sense, but it's just, like, from where... So she's lived in Lagos, like, Dubai, and a bunch of other places. Sussex... Now Toowoomba.
The Garden City is in full bloom and tourists can't get enough.
The gem of Australia.
What the fuck does she sound like anyway?
Apparently being a British intelligence officer wasn't Edgar's, like, true calling. It was farming.
Oh.
Unfortunately, farming wasn't really into Edgar.
Farming's hard.
They just can't do it. You know, like, they don't... I think it's one of those things where they were like, yeah, we're gonna, like, retire from this crazy international lifestyle we've been living.
Because they're old as well.
And we'll, like, you know, we'll go and we'll settle down in a country we like. Because both of them basically were like, well, we don't want to go back to England.
No.
After all of this, we don't want to go back to England. So they were like,
Rational.
oh, well, we've both been to Australia and we liked it when we went. So we'll
They
just
speak
go
English
there.
We don't have to, like,
Exactly.
hang out with sheiks.
You know, so they were like, we'll go there and we'll just live like a normal, down-to-earth life. Or
Yeah. You know, like the whites are made to.
You know...
In Toowoomba.
In Toowoomba. But yeah, it doesn't fucking work out.
What are they trying to farm?
It's like a lot of beef farming,
Oh,
I think.
okay.
And like it like just does not.
Yeah.
And apparently there is like a big like crash or whatever in the market as they enter it.
Of course there is.
And they're like, oh, A, this is really difficult, and B, we're so not established in this.
Yeah.
That we're fucked basically.
Well, the big issue is they set up this beef farm and they bought a bunch of pigs.
Fucking idiot.
And they're like, well, we've got pink beef.
Anyway, so Toowoomba
Yes.
is a bust. So the next only logical course of action was to move again. And this time it's to an even more rural location.
Timbuktu.
Canberra.
What? Oh, that's a Canberra bus stop.
Yep.
Yeah, right. So they go from Toowoomba to Canberra.
Yep.
That, I suppose, makes sense. I didn't realize she was Canberran, in
Yeah.
a sense. How old is Susan?
Susan at this point
It's
would
like
be
15?
Yeah, she would be 14, 15 maybe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They moved to Canberra.
Yep. So Edgar gets a job with the AFP, obviously. This is
Right. He's
this is what he knows how to do.
he's like I really like bullying people.
You know? And Angela works at the Woden Valley Hospital as a nurse.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I was delivered by someone named Angela Braybrook.
Dun dun.
No, that's not true.
Susan goes to Campbell High School and then to Dixon College for years 11 and 12.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I wonder if she was there around when Jackie Chan was there.
Entirely possible.
No.
It's kind of funny. At this time, she claims to have become one of Canberra's original punk rock people.
See, so there's like, on one hand, it's hard to believe leader of the Liberal Party had a punk rock phase, I suppose. On the other hand, it's easy to believe that there weren't any before her, given where and when we're talking about.
Fair. Now, she's described an outfit that she would have worn at this time.
All right.
And I would like you to read out this description.
All right, I'm excited.
We thought we could do a JJ's haul because we just got all of these clothes and we want to show you what we got.
I remember one day I really excelled myself. No shoes, bright orange glasses that were tinted, spiky purple hair, a dog collar around my neck, and a razor blade in one ear with a nose piercing that went to the razor blade. Skinny black jodhpurs, petticoat top, and black lipstick, I'm sure.
So it's a bit like My Immortal. Like, you know.
She's like up to the head, she sounds goth, and then the head is sane.
Yes.
Which
yeah.
is, I suppose, punk.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, it sounds like a good fit.
I mean, crazy, right? Can you imagine, like...
I wear, obviously, other than the bright, the spiky purple hair, I'll do that.
Fair. So this is also the time in her life where she claims that she added the extra S to make her name Sussan.
Yeah, she just did that. I'm Sussan now.
Yeah, she says it was for punk rock reasons. You know, because there's nothing more punk rock than, like...
Well,
adding an extra S to your name.
Your
name's Susan.
It is the decision I suppose a 16-year-old would make, right? It's like, because like she's like, I'm punk rock, and it's like you're friends with like sheiks and stuff. You don't, like, that is perhaps the most punk rock thing that she could do.
Fair. However, despite this claim, she actually was reported earlier in like interviews and stuff that she'd added the extra S in her 20s for numerology reasons.
Yeah, okay, so it's either punk rock teen stuff or Eat, Pray, Love, kooky 20s stuff.
Yeah, and we don't know the truth, because those are the two things she said, and there's, like...
The deed poll's not been released as to when it happened.
Exactly, yeah, there's no information on when it actually happened.
Yeah, right.
Which is pretty funny. Okay, so, with all that in mind, tell me, where is Sussan Ley from?
Yeah. Sussan Ley is a Gulf Arab.
Okay.
I think that's going to be it. I think that informs her most. She's not from Sussex. I don't think she's from Canberra. She's from, like, she's as from Canberra as everyone else who lives in Canberra, which is not. But she's, like, yeah, she's Canberran, but she's not from Canberra.
Yeah.
But it's a very archetypal Canberran story. I think she's a Gulf Arab.
Nice.
That's not true. She's British.
Look at her. You know, there's much to ponder. Is it, you know, Nigeria?
Oh,
is
right.
It the
Is
Gulf?
she Nigeria?
Is it UK? Is it Australia?
I think she'd probably consider herself British, but because she's so punk rock, I think she resents that. Because she'd rather be Nigerian or Arab. Because she's lived around.
Hell yeah.
But
Hell yeah.
I think she probably, like, is like, well, I know I'm British.
British. And it's much to ponder, but alas, we must ponder anew. He's ready for a new ponder.
Be quiet.
Because it's time for Chapter 2. What do you do?
Oh, it's a tough question.
When someone asks you, what do you do, how do you respond?
I was not meant to answer because that was rhetorical.
It was a little rhetorical, but you're allowed to answer.
Okay, well, I host a podcast.
Fair enough. Well, hey, I imagine most people would reply with their employment, like, I'm a telemarketer, I'm a shark cage diver, I build homes.
Those are the 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Buddy,
you
what
might
are you
also...
doing in here?
Hey, Stink, you're all done, Bubba.
He probably needs to pee.
Do you want to go for a quick wee break, buddy?
We can take a wee break.
We'll take a wee break. Sorry, everybody. We're gonna take a wee break.
Wee bit means a little amount. Like, were you drunk or were you steaming? Ach, a wee bit.
Hey, everyone, we're back.
Back at it again. All right, now where were we? We were.
What do you do?
Yeah, so I imagine most people would reply with their employment. Like, I'm a telemarketer, I'm a shark cage diver, I build homes. You might also go into a personal passion, like, I like telemarketing, I like shark cage diving, I like destroying homes. Sometimes these aspects of your identity become something more important in defining you than your profession ever could.
Yeah.
So, let's have a look at that.
Yeah, it just kind of worried me. Like, I don't know, something about you describing that in this context has really worried me about what's going to happen.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
After Susan finishes school, she throws herself into a long-held passion.
What is it?
Flying.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
She's mostly been doing that.
For a while she'd been under the impression that as someone who is short-sighted, she would never be able to fly a plane. However, this all changed when some random RAAF dudes in Canberra were like, lol, no, you can fly, just not for the military. So she starts taking flying lessons.
Right.
And works multiple jobs to pay for them. And by 20, Susan is a licensed pilot.
What? That's strange. That's really, I mean, it's not, I don't know how to fit, this is weird.
Yeah.
This just feels, and does she work as a pilot?
Well, even though she could now fly, getting a job as a pilot was a lot harder.
Oh, because she's short-sighted.
Well,
And commercial planes are really long.
yeah, exactly. In 1983, she moves to Melbourne for a year as a trainee air traffic controller, and then on to Sydney to do the same. Still, she wasn't able to secure a job actually flying, rather than working with people who do fly. After her applications to major airlines had been rejected, she started putting out advertisements in rural newspapers. In 1985, she gets a call for an aerial stock mustering gig, and she describes it thusly.
A shearing contractor in Thargomindah, southwest Queensland, called. I've got floods here, I've got trouble, and my pilot's going to New Guinea. When can you get here? I replied I could get there in 48 hours, so I hung up the phone and got out a map to look up where Thargomindah was. I didn't want to admit to him that I had no idea where it was. I packed up my whole life in 48 hours. I squeezed everything into my 1969 Holden and left Sydney. I went from about as city as you can get to as country as you can get.
Yeah, and that's pretty accurate. Thargomindah has a population that fluctuates between like 200 to 300 people.
Whoa, I'm going Thargomindah. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Thargomindah, rescue me.
Don't cry for me, Thargomindah.
God damn it. But seemingly this environment is something that Susan really thrived in more ways than one.
What does that mean?
It's in the shearing sheds in Thargomindah
Oh no.
that she meets John Lee, and the two start up a relationship.
Oh wow, that's very saucy.
The
pilot and the shearer.
When the farmer that they're working for goes bankrupt. not to laugh at this man's misfortune.
I mean,
but
to be fair, his previous pilot went to New Guinea. Like, he's not running a great.
It's not going well
He
for him. The two of them, so John and Susan, they start to travel around rural Australia. John shearing sheep, and Susan usually working as a shearer's cook or unskilled labourer
Of
with
some
the
sort,
shearers.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's crazy. And he's Asian.
No,
Oh,
he's
it's not like John Lee, like Li.
No, it's Lee
I'm joking.
So the two of them marry in 1987 and settle on John's family farm in northeast Victoria. Like most farming, it's not an easy or comfortable lifestyle. And in the 5 years between 1989 and 1993, they have 3 children together.
Damn. Why did you go and do that?
You're
fucking itinerant farmers.
Like, bro, get off of it. Jeez.
Yeah, like, man, just go see a sex worker.
There's other ways we can do this.
This is just not working for anyway.
Yeah, so at one point she's got all of her kids are under 5 years old.
Oh, that's great.
It's just
she's
fucked while she's also on a farm, right?
She's like an unemployed pilot.
Much how Susan's parents realized that farming life wasn't really going to work out, Susan was starting to get the same feeling. And also, I guess, this is kind of a story of how farming doesn't seem to work in Susan's life.
No, farming doesn't work in Susan's life. I don't think farming in general works in Australia unless you're the biggest farm.
Yes.
Because you need so much, like, land, I guess, to graze cattle properly and, like, resources to keep track of them. You have to pay for Susan to fly over there.
You know?
Like, it just seems like a crazy thing to do unless you're already, like, extremely rich.
Yes. So Susan and John's income was inconsistent, and the physical labour had resulted in Susan developing a hernia.
Do you reckon
It was a hay bale moving shit. Like, she'd be, like, tossing this shit around.
Yeah,
It was basically a sheep farm, right? It was like... Yeah.
When do you think she takes... Like, how much maternity leave did she take?
I have to assume almost none.
She was throwing hay bales till 8 months.
You know?
Starting again at 1. Like, come on.
Fuck. So after her first child is born, Susan starts studying a Bachelor of Economics at La Trobe University's Wodonga campus.
Yeah, right.
By the time she graduates around 1994, she's had her other 2 children and has signed up to her local Liberal Party branch.
Other 2?
Yeah, so she's got 3 in total. No, just 3.
Right.
But after she has her first one, she's like, I'm going to start doing uni because this is actually kind of insane.
Right.
She's like, I can't have children, but then also like has more children while she's like doing her degree and working on a farm.
Damn.
So in 1995, she gets a job off farm in Albury, working at the ATO, Australian Taxation Office.
So she's a Liberal Party member working at the ATO. Yeah.
She clearly got bit by the higher education bug, because while working there, she pursues a master's in tax law, as well as a master's in accounting.
I'm a master at moving numbers around to
I can just
make
fucking
the money
move
work.
these guys.
Yeah, listen, you don't know this about the numbers, but you can just make them different numbers.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Fuck. All right. So she's a nerd now.
Yes.
She's no longer a punk.
No, she's not a punk. She's not rural. She's a office girly now.
She's not flying into work.
No. In 2001, Susan is ready for her next move, and it's time that this country got some Sussan leadership. She runs for the federal seat of Farrer as the Liberal Party candidate, and this is weird for a few reasons.
Right.
Number 1, she's asked to run by a National Party member, and Susan is representing the Liberals.
Is it a coalition at that point?
It is a coalition at that point. I just find that kind of like funny.
I don't think it's usually how the hierarchy works like that, so it is a bit weird.
Number 2, Farrer, which is the electorate she's running in, is technically in New South Wales. And while Susan works on the New South Wales side of the border, she lives in Victoria.
Right, okay.
And number 3, the seat has only been held by 3 people since its creation in 1949. And they've all been men.
Of course.
And, you know, Susan doesn't really fit the bill of somebody who'd hold that seat.
In fact, you would say that she fits the Susan, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you going to, she fits the Billina? Anyway, so while it's a tight race, Susan emerges victorious by an incredibly slim margin of 206 votes.
206.
Which is roughly 0.25% of the 80,000 strong electorate.
Yeah.
And she said this was particularly special, not only because she won, yay, but because her favourite plane is the Cessna 206, which is what I have pictured here
That's
for
what
you.
we're looking at here.
Yep.
The Cessna 206. Folks at home, it's a little plane, maybe a 10-seater or something like that. Maybe 5, maybe 4.
It's a little guy.
It could be just 2. It's a real little guy.
And yeah, it's all fate or whatever. And as of 2025, Susan has held the seat of Farrer for 24 years.
Yeah, so since then she's
just been in the Farrer seat.
Yeah, she's locally beloved.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure at this point she's also, like, I guess, kind of living in Albury. So that works. Because you have to, like, live in your electorate, right?
Yeah, and I think for Queensland listeners, they probably don't know about, like, Albury Wodonga. But it's, like, on the border? Is that right?
Yeah, so Albury Wodonga is... Basically, Albury and Wodonga are, like...
2 towns.
They're 2 towns. But they're sandwiched together so that functionally they're one town.
Yeah.
But because they're directly on the New South Wales-Victoria border, they are technically split.
Is
so you
that
have
true?
Albury and Wodonga.
Are we mixing that up with another town?
No, it's definitely Albury.
Yeah, God.
Albury Wodonga, yeah.
Yeah. For all my Brisbane listeners, here's me getting confused about things I ostensibly know.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it's a whole weird thing where the town functions as one town. But
exactly.
It straddles.
But it's like across the border. So like
That guy's going to Albury.
damn, that's crazy. Or Wodonga.
Or Wodonga.
But yeah, so like very much it's normal for you to live in Wodonga and work in Albury, or
vice
live in
versa.
Albury and work in Wodonga, because they're literally like they're. It would be the same as like, you know, if I suppose Brisbane and Ipswich were, you know,
It's kind of what's happening
across
in
the
Brisbane
borders.
and Logan.
Yeah, right. It's like it's functionally like it's the same. Like there's not really a distinction between them other than like governmental, but physically, it's just a continuum
sprawled
of
into each other.
existence. Exactly.
Yeah.
About her decision to get into politics, Susan has this to say.
Going into politics was something I wanted to do to try and make a contribution to rural and regional Australia. It just seemed the best way to do that. I've been married to a fourth-generation family farmer for 15 years, and because of the tough times that I've seen in the rural community that we've been involved with going through, that's inspired me to want to make change.
Ah.
That sounds like sweet and stuff.
It's after her successful campaign that Susan also dusts off the old pilot's license
Oh.
and flies for the first time in 13 years.
I mean, it's... Was it Joe Bjelke Peterson has the pilot's license as well?
Yeah, it's like a whole thing.
If you're representing a rural district,
you better fucking be able to fly around.
Yeah, you need to be able to do it quick.
Exactly. So Farah is the second largest electorate in New South Wales, and it's roughly the size of New Zealand.
Wow.
So being able to fly around is like, critical, as you've just said. Like, being able to like
the really well-developed rail infrastructure this country has, though.
Sorry, I'm deaf all of a sudden. I don't know what you're saying. And that brings us to her current career. Sussan Ley, the politician.
Yes, that's what we know her for.
All
Wow.
right. So for the first few years, it seems like she's just kind of like there, you know? She's not really doing anything. She's like, you know, the member for Farah, but she doesn't have like a titled position or anything,
Yeah.
right? In 2004, she's appointed the Parliamentary Secretary for Children and Youth Affairs. And I don't have a good segue, but this is also the year that she and John divorce.
Right.
And I have to assume it's because he's still deeply attached to his like family farm in Victoria, which he still operates like to this day.
Right.
And Susan is like basically in a whole different lifestyle at this point. Like,
Yeah.
they're so different now that it makes sense that this is like the parting
The
point.
end of it, yeah.
Yeah.
She's an office lady now.
She's an office lady now who lives in Albury, I have to assume.
Yeah.
So like, how are they meant to make a marriage work?
She can't just be like his second, which has seemed like her professional life for a while.
Exactly, which was just like helping him out and stuff.
Yeah, she would have got sick of him pretty quick.
Yeah. So in 2006, Susan is made Parliamentary Secretary for Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry.
Yeah, she, has kids, has worked on a farm.
Exactly. And after Kevin Rudd curb stomps Howard in 2007,
Pow, pow.
Party campaign, and I therefore accept full responsibility for the Coalition's defeat in this election campaign.
Susan is appointed the Shadow Minister for Housing and Shadow Minister for Status of Women under the leadership of Brendan Nelson.
2007 was a really different time.
You know?
Shadow Minister for Status of Women.
Which is now just like the Minister for Women.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But we used to really have to call it different things.
Yeah.
When Brendan flunks out in 2008 and Malcolm Daddy Turnbull flunks in, Susan is appointed Shadow Minister for Justice and Customs. And when Tony time comes around in 2009, Susan is appointed the Shadow Assistant Treasurer, then moved to the Shadow Minister for Childcare and Early Childhood Learning, as well as Shadow Minister for Employment Participation.
This is
2010.
All over the fucking place.
Yeah. And
This
you can
is
see, like,
all
this
over
is
the
all
fucking place.
quite, like, she basically spends, like, a year in these jobs.
Yeah.
And then, like, is, like, shoved into the next one, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the time that's coinciding with changes in leadership.
Exactly. Which just
Yeah,
shows how
right.
fucking stupid and fragile our system is.
Yeah.
But anyway, now it's time to step out of the shadows because the Coalition is in power for the first time in 7 years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for all of us, this means Tony Abbott is Prime Minister.
That was a real bad time.
But fortunately for Susan, this is her first go at a full actual ministerial position. At first, she is the Assistant Minister for Education, and a year later, she gets to sit at the big kids' table when the cabinet is reshuffled, and she gets to be the Minister for Health and the Minister for Sport in 2014.
Yeah, right.
When Tony flunks out in 2015 and Malcolm Daddy Turnbull flunks in again, Susan is given the additional Minister for Aged Care. So at this point, she's in charge of 3 different portfolios at the same time.
Sport,
health, and aged
care.
care. Yeah.
Wow.
It's not quite as impressive as Scott Morrison's 5 secret ministries, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, but he also had to keep those secret from everyone, and that's really hard to do.
That's really hard
Because you just
to
want to tell everyone, like, hey, I'm the Minister for Women.
Like, I'm also the minister. I'm also the treasurer. Perhaps this intense workload is the reason she fucks up and resigns from her ministerial portfolios in 2017. But we'll get into that later. In 2018, after failing to install Dutton into the leadership position during all of that bullshit, Sussan is made the Assistant Minister for Regional Development and Territories in the Scott Morrison regime. In 2019, she's also made the Minister for Environment. And after her party's defeat in 2022, Sussan steps into the role of Deputy Leader under Peter Dutton. And after he loses his seat in the 2025 election, Sussan becomes the de facto leader of the Liberal Party. After a later vote by the party, Sussan remained the leader and officially became the first woman to lead the Liberals, the coalition, or serve as the leader of the opposition in federal history.
And every single day they're complaining about it.
And every single day there's a problem. So obviously if you've paid attention to what's going on with the Liberal National Coalition...
it's fun these days. You just like look at it fall apart.
Yeah, you're probably aware that it's not like super smooth sailing.
No.
Exactly. It's all kind of falling apart. And I think this is actually... Sussan being the leader at this point is a really clear example of the glass cliff. Now, the glass cliff is basically when a business or a venture at high risk of failing makes the decision to put a woman or a person of colour or anyone considered diverse at the helm. That way, they might be able to benefit off the brownie points of, like, you know, the first diverse CEO ever.
Exactly.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
The implied, like, progression
Exactly.
and growth that shows.
But also, when the company or venture fails, there's a really convenient scapegoat.
Yeah.
We should never have had a woman in this position in the first place.
They can
You know?
stop themselves from ever having to do that again.
Exactly. And I think that's a really clear example of what is going on here and why Sussan's got the job.
Yeah, it's kind of how America's treating Barack Obama.
You know, now that we've kind of gone through what Sussan's been up to, if you were to ask her, hey, Sussan, what do you do? How do you think she'd respond? Is she, you know, a politician, a farmer, a pilot, a parent?
I think...
Scapegoat? Like, what do you reckon?
At this point, I think she'd... Like, if you ask her at a dinner party, I think she'd really want to say pilot. But I think she'd probably say, I work in politics. I don't know. Like, what do you specialize in? It's like, oh, you know, children, agriculture, women, housing, justice, the treasury, employment, education, sport, aged care, health, regional development, industry skills and training, and also I'm the leader.
Yeah. Oh, and I fly planes as well.
And I fly planes, and that's what I really want to do.
You know? Like, there is a world that exists where Sussan was able to get, like, a job as, like a commercial pilot.
A commercial pilot, yeah. And then none
and,
of
like, this is it. That's
Yeah.
just what she does.
Yeah, she's just happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Poor thing.
Anyway, so, you know, I think what you do is intrinsically related to what you believe.
Yes.
And so it's time to ask our final question, which is, Chapter 3, what do you believe?
I believe in dreaming, shooting for the stars.
And this is perhaps the whispers I've heard the most about Sussan Ley is that this has veered wildly throughout her life.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Let's learn about it.
So this question is a little trickier to answer because, after all, describing one's belief system succinctly is close to impossible.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
But we can look at how someone talks the talk and walks the walk to gain an understanding of their thoughts, values, and the things that matter to them the most.
Yes.
A quote from Sussan in her first few weeks of being a politician is this: "When you speak in this place, it's got to be something that you really believe." And for irony's sake, I'd like you to keep this in mind.
Something you really believe.
Yep.
Something you really believe.
Something you really believe.
Can you give me a couple of voices of that? I'm going to use it as echoes.
Something you really believe.
Nice.
Something you really believe.
Nice.
Having a quick breeze through theyvoteforyou.org.au, a classic,
What a sight.
it gives us a pretty good picture of how Sussan votes in Parliament. And Sussan has never voted against the party line in Parliament. She's very much voted however the Libs are voting, and you can expect her views to be much the same.
Does anyone vote against the party line?
Sometimes, and you get those cool things where it's just like, this minister regularly rebels or whatever.
Yeah,
well, not
right.
regularly, but it'll be like, this minister has done like 3 rebellions in their like time in Parliament.
Yeah.
Which is always exciting to see, because I'm like, what are you doing?
But they'll like kick you out of the Liberal Party if you do that.
Well, they've got a bit more of the Libs and the Nationals, like the coalition, have a looser grasp on their members than Labour. Like, Labour's, like, caucus politics are like, you cannot cross the floor on
We saw it with
anything.
Fatima Payman.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the coalition, like, they don't like it, obviously, but they're a bit more flexible about it.
Well,
like,
I guess they
and they're
have to
more
be.
inclined to be like, we're doing like a free vote on this.
Yeah,
You know?
like given that they are a coalition of really diverse interests, like joining together in a really fashy way.
They kind of have to.
They kind of have to.
Exactly. And speaking of the free votes, so in Susan's free votes, the ones where there's no formal party line and, you know, the party is just like, hey, vote how you feel. We're not going to hold anyone to anything. This is kind of how she's voted. So she's voted against religious exemptions for celebrants authorizing same-sex marriage. She's voted...
What is... So
that means that if a priest, for example, said, I'm not marrying you faggots, that's illegal, and she's happy that that's illegal.
Okay, cool.
She's like, you don't get to decide, it's a marriage. Like, we've made it legal, don't blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
She's voted in favour of removing the ban on territories preventing voluntary assisted dying. So she's pro-euthanasia. She's like, you can do that. I think you should be able to do that.
Well, especially the youth in the tertiary states.
Exactly. She is in favour of stem cell research, particularly when it comes to, like, you know, like infant health and stuff like that, and being able to, like, you know...
You kind of forget how big a flashpoint issue that was when we were in, like, high school.
That
like,
was crazy.
It's kind of worn off now.
Yeah.
But that was... You know, with, like, it'd be like abortion and stem cell research would be what the right were protesting against.
Because they're like, yeah, you're going to take the stem cells from, like... There was a South Park episode on stem cells, right? And basically the idea was, like... was it Stephen Hawking? I think it was Stephen Hawking was, like... just getting, like, aborted fetuses that were, like real ugly little babies and stuff like that, and, like, just cracking them and sucking them dry to have their, like, stem cells.
Of course.
And I think that's how people thought about,
about
like,
stem
cells.
Stem cells at the time, yeah. Yeah, that was the image that people had. And now we know that stem cells are things like ISIS, the Taliban, because, you know, they're all engineers and stuff.
Yeah, you know, I thought we were talking about, like, hurricanes and stuff, but that's like a storm cell, which is a fucking idiot.
Oh, I thought we were talking about 350 fidget spinners, but that's a stem cell.
And I thought we were talking about people who, like can't get a date, you know, but I think that's an incel.
Oh.
Anyway, so she's in favour of stem cell research.
Yeah.
And she's also in favour of increasing the availability of abortion drugs.
Okay,
which also
so
makes sense as a rural representative because so frequently women in, like, you know, the middle of fucking nowhere can't go to a doctor for something.
Yeah.
Especially if they can manage this at home and they're able to get the medication to manage it at home. It means they don't have to go to the city to, like, you know, get stuff done.
And her life has provided examples of where...
Yeah, she probably at some point was like, damn, I wish there was a way that I could have not had all of these children, all of these babies at once.
They're in the deepest recesses of her mind, as with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of that seems pretty defensible, right?
Yes. Yes. It's socially liberal.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's, you know, socially and economically liberal. That's a type of politician that exists.
Yeah.
I guess.
And this is probably the last time that you're gonna, like, agree with her politics.
Yeah, like, so all four of those, right? So stem cell research, I'm kind of like whatever about, but that's because I don't trust medicine. As you've said, I'm slightly crunchy, but that's like don't trust. That's not think is evil.
Yes.
Abortion drugs, great. Voluntary assisted dying, great. Religious exemptions for celebrants authorizing same-sex marriages, like, great. But I have the same thing with the pie shop, which is like, if you know somebody wants to, like, not authorize your marriage, why are you going there? Like, I guess, and functionally what's happening is like, well, that person now can't be a celebrant. But they can also just say no for another reason.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm busy that week.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Booked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. So there are some big ticket issues that we should talk about when it comes to Susan, and I think it's pretty clear that, like, spoiler alert, like most of the politicians we've covered, she is a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah.
So let's start with one of the big ones, which is Palestine. So in 2011, as the co-chair of the Friends of Palestine parliamentary group, Susan visited the West Bank. She made a speech to Parliament on her visit and on her support for Palestinian statehood, and I've pulled a few quotes for you to read if you'd like.
I do not believe a secure Israel will be achieved in spite of a viable Palestinian state. I believe that it cannot be achieved without one. I met my World Vision foster child in the village of Nahalin, surrounded by encroaching settlements, and stood in the treeless playground among the falling down classrooms and tired soccer balls, looking just across the gully at the settlement school with its modern buildings and latest equipment. The Jewish residents travel on Israeli-only roads straight into Tel Aviv, and cannot even see the second road network or the villages hidden in the valley below. It is as if the Palestinians have been airbrushed out of existence. You know? So she went there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This keeps going. As I return to my rural electorate, you set me up, Karen. Make me say rural so many times. As I return to my rural electorate, I will recall the farmers we met, who have been chased off their land and livelihood by illegal settlers and are now mendicant aid recipients. After 2 generations of strife and war, are we going to admit to our children that their parents could not even find a path to peace, or, worse still, that we did not even try?
Yeah,
Yeah, she's got to, obviously the two-state solution is bizarre. And the first quote's there won't be a secure Israel without a secure Palestine. It's you're giving too much room to the ethno-nationalist state. That's a pretty solid thing, but everything past that is a pretty frank appraisal of the situation in front of her.
Yeah.
And using terms like, settler, illegal settler, that's a mainstream left view at that time on Palestine.
Yeah. And she has I think it was in 2003 maybe that she became the co-chair for the Friends of Palestine.
Yeah, right.
So it was quite early. She's been on
She might have been on the same trip as Albo.
Entirely
that
possible.
Same year.
Which would be fucking nuts.
Yeah, right.
But so she's been pro-Palestine for a while.
Yeah.
So again in 2017 she spoke in Parliament in support of the Palestinian people and their struggle against occupation.
But think not of the leadership, think of the people. Between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, half the residents or more live as either second-class citizens or non-citizens because they are Palestinian. In the West Bank, a third of the Palestinian population is under 14. Less than 5% would remember a time without Israeli occupation. Any visit to the occupied territories is confronting. I remember visiting the child I sponsored at his broken-down school in Bethlehem next to a shiny, bright settler school and seeing the rebellion in his eyes. I heard of another boy sentenced to 6 months in prison, 1 month for every stone he threw, though none of them hit anyone.
Yeah, so still obviously
Yeah.
walking the path of being hey, free Palestine.
Exactly.
Basically.
And focus on the people, don't think of the leadership. Palestine is not Hamas. I guess that's, essentially what she's saying there.
Exactly. She's hey, these are human actual people.
Yep.
Don't.
Lots of them are kids.
A lot of them are kids, and a lot of them are being terrorized.
Yeah.
On a daily basis.
She's being quite clear,
yes,
I think.
Absolutely. In 2022, she takes another trip.
Yeah, to Palestine. Is it the Rambam? She doesn't go in the Rambam, does she? She must go in the Rambam.
I don't know if she actually... I think she actually does. But yeah, she goes to Israel.
Yeah.
Alongside AJAC, our friends at the Australia-Israel Jewish Affairs Council.
Yeah, that's the
They take her to Israel, yeah.
That's the Rambam Fellowship. So Liebler got her.
Yeah.
Liebler got her!
Ah,
she's on the Liebler list.
Fuck. Another one.
I can't wait till the Liebler files are released.
But yeah, Susan comes away from this trip with a very different perspective on things.
God, what do they show her?
And she's very much entered her pro-Israel era.
Mm.
She doesn't say anything, but she comes away being I've learnt a lot, and I think I've changed my mind on a lot of things, is basically what she says.
Damn.
And
they showed her unseen footage of JFK's assassination. Do you understand?
The fucking aliens or whatever that they got hidden in Jerusalem, but
Benjamin Netanyahu takes his mask off, turns out giant insect.
Damn, that's
just
crazy.
Susan, no one will believe you. And look, he just eats somebody in front of her. It's Susan, do you understand?
It's yes, sir.
Susan, listen, let me tell you something. Susan, you don't understand what's going on. The Palestinians, they're all goblins.
Could have been a contender. So after October 7, she has this to say.
We must also reassure the Palestinians that condemning this terrorist group and its terrorist activities, the worst the world has seen since 9/11, should not and cannot be taken as any negative expression against the Palestinian people, with whom I have had a long and enduring friendship and connection. I say clearly, Israel have a good image. They have a good image because they are a good people and a good country.
Now, of course, then she says, like, this next thing.
I want to make one final point. In the days and weeks ahead, Israel has rightly stated that they will have no choice but to launch a very forceful response, seeking to ensure these atrocities can never occur again. Unfortunately for Hamas, civilians are always collateral damage in their quest to advance their terrorism. As civilians suffer, we must remember that this is because of one thing and one thing only: the actions of Hamas. We must stand resolutely with Israel as they respond forcibly, because the Hamas-Iran joint propaganda machine will be seeking to persuade the world that they are the victims. We must ignore that propaganda and stay strident in our support for the Jewish people. And we must all remember that their actions in the coming days and weeks are in self-defense of their people and their country.
So, so much for considering the people of Palestine and the history that she's very aware of that led to all this.
Like she says right here, this is because of one thing and one thing only, the actions of Hamas. Just, that's... And obviously calling out politicians on their hypocrisy is a losing battle.
Of course.
It's just kind of gross how obvious it was.
The switch up is just so severe.
Because, Bibi knows, he's like, in the next couple of years, we're finally going to, accidentally have a security lapse and there'll be an attack. I don't know, is anyone else, Susan, hey, half the dead are because of Israel? What do you think? What do you think?
What do you think about that? Well, of course not.
I guess, the Iran thing, I think, is probably what they told her about. More than anything else, they're like, Iran's doing all this. Look, these are Iranian.
Iran's involved.
They're Iranian holograms. They're not children.
It's Iranian witchcraft.
Oh, God.
Persian
magic.
Persian nuclear magic.
Persian, they've got weapons of magic destruction over in Persia.
Shit. Yeah, Anyway, so, there's that. But this isn't the only thing that Susan likes to backtrack on. She also likes to treat animals, like the creature, like animals, derogatorily. So let's talk about live sheep exports.
Yeah, right, okay. So she was a cattle farmer.
Sheep.
Her family?
Wool, yeah. Well, her family originally tries to get into beef, and then her and John go around to a bunch of sheep farms, and then return to John's sheep farm.
So they were doing sheep for most of it. The cattle early, but mostly sheep.
So in 2018, Susan puts forward a private member's bill to Parliament calling for long-haul live sheep exports to be banned.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know, the live sheep trade is rife with horrendous animal abuse. Sheep are packed into cargo ships and sailed across the world to be slaughtered nice and fresh in a different country. Australia is the world's largest live exporter of animals for slaughter. And an expose into the practice in 2018 from a current affair revealed the horror experienced by animals being transported and the crew charged with taking them. Animals dehydrated, were crushed in cramped spaces, and some were functionally boiled alive from the extreme heat.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's actually it was reading some of it, I have not even included
No, I remember
much at all. It's
I remember
shit.
when that came out.
Yeah,
and
so essentially
I remember feeling sick.
A Pakistani worker was able to smuggle a camera onto the ships that he'd been working on and was able to actually film what was going on.
Yeah.
And then he released that footage being hey, this is actually the
this
worst
is what it's
shit.
like. Yeah.
So naturally, Susan, who had been in the wool business with her ex-husband for years, was understandably horrified by the reports and submitted a bill to Parliament to ban the trade. She's like, this is fucked, we can't do this. And this move went against the Liberal Party's interests. And at the time that she submitted this, she is not currently a minister for anything, right? This is in her 2017 to 2018 break, which we will get into.
Yeah.
Exactly. So she's able to put forward this private member's bill, and it's yay. Then she's given another assistant ministry when they go to before they go to vote on it and stuff. And as a result, because she's a member of cabinet, now she has to vote with the rest of the party.
Oh, she gets to vote against
so
her
she
own
has
bill.
to vote against her own bill, and so it fails.
Crazy.
Yeah. So naturally, in 2023, Susan is asked again about live exports and blah blah blah, and she's actually totally fine with it now.
Oh, she's chill now?
Yeah, she said that she'd been reassured that the actions that were taken in government to raise the standard of welfare on live sheep exports had indeed been implemented.
The version of Susan that she's presenting is so stupid.
Yeah.
Is so, ignorant and naive and stupid. And I don't want to give her too much credit, but I don't think she is necessarily inherently ignorant, naive, and stupid. She sounds like she's able to form reasonable opinions with some level of coherence and then stopped and I'm going to attribute it all to Mark Liebler.
Here's something interesting that I don't think I've put the quote in here, but there is a quote from Susan when she's talking about like her perspectives in politics and stuff, and this is earlier on in her career again, where she makes the point that she's like, oh, you know, I'm very willing to consider alternative perspectives if somebody presents me with like new evidence.
Yeah, right.
And this is a really easy way for me to tell you that Susan will believe whatever's put in front of her, probably most recently. And that becomes like her kind of thing.
Something you really believe.
In my opinion.
You reckon it's like a Trump style kind of thing almost?
Yeah, like somebody's just like, well, actually, here's this new evidence, and she'll look at it and she'll be like, oh, guess I was wrong this whole time.
What did they
And then just go on to something new.
What did they show her in Israel?
You know?
What did they show her?
What did they show her? Anyway, so she also goes on to decry banning live cattle exports as well, claiming that Labor would ban them and fuck up the economy, and you know, actually live exports is really good for Australia. And total side note, live sheep exports by sea will be fully banned as of May the 1st, 2028. So the Albanese government has put in a ban for live sheep export.
2028?
In a couple of years.
They're gonna May the 1st, 2028?
Yeah.
If they're not confident that they're gonna win Western Australia in the time leading up to that, because the election is gonna be that year, they're gonna announce that they're not gonna be in it.
Oh, for sure. And keep like WA, because that's also like the biggest like
that's
exporters in Australia of exporting live.
Well, they've introduced something that they can use in that year to win votes by rescinding the ban if they need to.
You know? But anyway, Susan doesn't just think it's okay for sheep to boil alive, but it's actually okay if all living things do. Minister for Environment is one of the positions that Susan held for longer than most of the other ones that she's been involved in, right?
Which is all of them.
Yeah. Like, she spent 3 years in the role, rather than just, like, 1.
Yeah.
And as such, she's certainly been a busy bee.
Unlike all those bees who are dead.
Yeah, unlike all those dead bees. In 2020, she was actually sued in a class action taken by a group of Australian children, who argued that the Environment Minister had a duty of care to protect young people from climate change, and that this should be considered before approving projects that produce greenhouse gas. And originally, the kids won. Yay!
Man, they let these kids into the court.
You know? But then in 2022, Susan appealed, and the judge was basically like, fuck them kids, and absolved Susan's office of needing to consider anything but their fucking wallets. Sorry, not fucking wallets. Absolved Susan's office of needing to consider anything.
Yeah. At all.
At all.
Ever.
Then in her last few months as minister in 2022, Susan got a little bit naughty and scrapped recovery plans designed to protect 176 different species of plants, animals, and habitats.
They gone.
She claimed to have been following the scientific advice she was provided that these recovery plans weren't necessary. Note how I say, as soon as someone gives her some information, it seems like she's like, well, I guess this must be the right one.
So some scientist, someone in a lab coat has come up.
And been like, you don't need this. And she was like, I guess I don't.
Been like, we actually wanted all 176 of them to die.
Exactly. And this is like, despite the fact that nearly every scientist and conservationist that protested her decision came armed with a wealth of evidence to the contrary.
Of course.
And like, they put out a survey being like, to like a bunch of people being like, hey, do we actually need these? And like all like 6,000 responses were like, yes. And she was like, no.
Yeah. You'll wasted your time.
And there's a bit of a sidebar here. Susan loves playing a bit loose with her understanding of science. So she claimed in 2022 that no one in the world is making an electric ute. And even if they were, it would be unaffordable. Which, of course, is not true, though I'll give it to her that electric utes weren't available in Australia at the time of her comment. But, like, it's not like they didn't exist.
It was like, a couple years away.
Yeah.
I see BYD utes all the time.
You know?
I think they're mostly electric.
Yeah.
You know, she
just kind of doesn't know shit. Back to the environment, though. It was discovered after Labor's victory that Susan had been naughty again and had hidden reports claiming that Australia's ecosystem was poor and deteriorating.
But why did you hide it? We all know.
Well, because it was also, like, as environment minister, she also, like, was giving the stamp of approval for a bunch of different, like, mining projects and stuff. She's like, yeah, because everything's fine. Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, so she did what the fossil fuel companies did in the 70s.
Exactly. Like, but you know who's not poor?
Sussan Ley.
Ding, 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 ding.
Hell yeah. Get your money, baby.
Now, I mentioned a little while back about the whole Susan resigns from her ministerial gigs thing in 2017. So here's what causes it. It's 2015, and Susan is on a taxpayer-funded trip to Queensland with her new partner, Graham Johnston. Susan claimed to have been travelling to Brisbane to announce health funding before making a side trip to the Gold Coast to meet with local health stakeholders, of whom she refuses to reveal the identity of.
We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget.
It's here that Susan and Graham purchase an $800,000 apartment. Now, this is a big no-no because Susan is on the clock. And, like, we're paying for her to be there.
And she's just buying property.
Yes.
What?
Now, Susan defended herself by saying it was, and I'm not kidding,
No.
an impulse buy.
An impulse buy?
You know, like when you, like, just chuck a chocolate in your, like, trolley at
Yeah, I'm
Woolies.
going to buy a house in this other city.
Yeah, just a casual,
That's
totally
really-
chill $800,000 apartment.
That's a really good idea, baby. You want to get sushi after? Yeah.
You know? Yeah, for sure. So this is, again, yeah, a state she doesn't live in, while she's away on business, and she's, like, paid to be there by the people she's meant to be working for.
There's a siphoning of the Australian tax dollar into the pockets of big property developers.
You know?
Again.
And the direct quote from her office is that the purchase was not planned nor anticipated.
They live different lives. What's Graham Johnston do?
Well, he owns a company, actually, on
What
the
is
Gold
it?
Coast, funnily enough.
Raytheon?
No, it's a bin cleaning company.
Oh.
But he claims that he doesn't do any business in the Gold Coast. He does it all remotely from Albury, where he and Susan live. But we'll get into that again in a moment.
Remotely cleans bins?
So, interestingly, the apartment that they buy was being sold by Martin Corkery, a childcare operator who claimed to know Susan professionally when she was the Shadow Minister for Childcare and Early Childhood Learning in 2010.
Peter Dutton introduced them.
He claims to have not known that she was the buyer until he saw her name on the contract, as he was in Europe at the time. And the Guardian's coverage of this incident didn't find any evidence that this was more than a coincidence. But I should also note that Michael was one of the biggest individual donors to the Queensland Liberal Nationals in 2011, donating $50,000. So
Yeah.
he knew Susan and is politically aligned with her. And
I mean, and
she went to
childcare-
this auction on the clock to buy a house from him, basically.
Yeah, so that's... I mean, like, I think, personally, that's fraud. That's the crime of fraud, in my opinion. But also, I know Dutton made a lot of his money off childcare. I imagine these people know each other through that as well.
I'm certain. So all of this is uncovered in 2017, which is 2 years after the purchase. And the scandal over her buying this, like, fucking property while she's at work basically meant that there were calls for her to resign and calls for her to be demoted and blah, 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 blah. And her party defends her, saying Susan is the most scrupulous person and that she was at work and that, for fuck's sake, we all make mistakes. I'm not saying that she made one, but let's just, like, get on with it.
Let's just get on with it.
Yeah.
She's fine. She's allowed to buy this property.
With the pressure on from the public, though, Susan admits that the trip was a little bit about buying a property and agreed to pay back the money used to cover her travel expenses. Now, this did lead to a lot of digging into her claims for trips to the Gold Coast, which a little graph here for you.
Look at this!
Oh no, that's not the one I wanted. There it is. All right, I'll have to go back to the other one.
Right.
So this is Susan's nights claimed on the Gold Coast from 2013 to 2016.
Wow.
From the Financial Review. Now you'll notice the
37 nights claimed on the Gold Coast for Sussan Ley. She is first. They put a graph here showing 4 other very small lines, which are 6 nights, 5 nights, 4 nights, 3 nights, which is the next most nights claimed on the Gold Coast in that period. In the 3-year period, she was there 37 times, which is 1 time every 30 days or so. She goes once a month.
Yeah, like she goes like real frequently and is claiming like, oh, well, it's never for anything personal. It's all business. And yes, Graham comes with me sometimes, but it's not for his business. He doesn't run it there. He runs it from Albury.
Right.
He's not
so
doing it. He gets to go as a partner, right? So he also
is
gets paid for by the
getting
taxpayer.
The taxpayer to fund his office days
Yeah.
for the business that he owns in the Gold Coast.
Yes.
I don't think he's a passionate bin cleaner.
No.
Yeah, so I have to assume she spent more time on the Gold Coast, which is very far from her electorate, than the rest of the politicians in Australia combined.
Yeah, I have to assume so.
Because, like, the next 4 add up to...
So little.
18, and she's at 37. My goodness.
Yeah. So, while this is all being investigated by Parliament, on the 9th of January 2017, Susan advises she's going to temporarily step away from her 3 ministerial portfolios, but both Malcolm and Susan stand firm that she hasn't broken any rules. But again, people are like, hey, it's fucked that she's not being fired over this. Like,
she hasn't broken any rules. She's just having to fulfill the punishment for having broken a rule.
You know. 4 days later, though, on the 13th of January, Susan resigns, like, for realsies. She is still the member for Farah, but she's not going to be the minister for aged care, health, and sport.
Yeah, no, she's getting as a minister for childcare next.
Exactly. And that's where I need to go back for a moment, because she's also a racist. Oh, wait, hang on. Oh, damn it. So this is a tweet that I was meant to show you earlier about Palestine as well, where this is one of her latest opinions as of the 13th of August, 2025, which is when Albanese said that he was going to recognize a Palestinian state. Susan has said, well, if the opposition gets into government, we are going to unrecognize it.
Yeah, we're going to stop thinking about him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But she's racist for other reasons. So this is a tweet that I have.
Oh, no.
It goes a little something like this. If you live in Frankston and you've got a problem with Victorian women being assaulted by foreign criminals, vote against Labor. If you do not want to see Australian women being assaulted by foreign criminals, vote against Labor. Send Labor a message.
If you do not want to see Australian women being assaulted by foreign criminals, sign up for an industry super fund.
You know, from little things, big things grow. So what Susan's referring to is an incident that happened in Melbourne wherein a sexual assault took place and a formerly detained immigrant man was arrested.
Yeah.
And she's mentioning Frankston because there was a fucking by-election at the time that she posted this, right?
Right.
Because it's also in Victoria. So basically she's fear-mongering people into thinking evil immigrants want to rape good Australian women.
Yeah.
But what sucks for Susan, though, is that the police fucked up. And the man they arrested was completely innocent of the crime. And surprisingly, the cops admitted to this fuck-up pretty quickly and released the man in question. They were like, oh shit, no, not this guy. It's a totally different guy who's not, like, a former detained immigrant.
Oh, goodness.
Actually, it wasn't this guy at all, you know?
Wow, that almost sounds like they jumped to a conclusion. Anyway.
But Susan decided that that's actually not a problem. That's not an issue. The tweet still stands, right?
Yeah.
She doubled down on her comments and basically was like, well, you know what? There's actually foreign criminals roaming the streets and I'm not going to stay quiet about it.
Yeah, you can't expect me to stay quiet about the foreign criminals roaming the streets.
You know? So just like that kind of fucking shit.
Yeah.
So what can we learn from all this? And that kind of brings us to the conclusion, which is...
Conclusion, but with 2 S's.
Conclusion, but with 2 S's. Who are you?
Who are you?
And I'm so Susan. So Sussan Ley, formerly Susan with 1 S in the middle, Braybrooks, was born in Nigeria to British parents and spent her childhood in the Middle East and England. At 13, she moves across the globe to Australia briefly to live on a farm in Toowoomba before spending her teenage years in Canberra. After finishing high school, she goes on to gain her pilot's license and moves to Melbourne, then Sydney, working as an air traffic controller. In her early 20s, she gets her first aerial mustering gig way out in the middle of nowhere, and that's where she meets her future husband, John Lee. The two travel around rural Australia working on sheep farms before moving to John's family farm in Victoria and getting married. Susan and John have 3 children. Susan begins studying economics at uni, graduates, gets a job at the ATO, and gets 2 more degrees while she's at it. She's elected the member for Farah in 2001, gets her first title role in 2004, and she and John divorce. From 2007 to 2013, she sticks around in the Liberal Party in various shadowy positions. In time, Susan also becomes the co-chair of the Friends of Palestine parliamentary group and advocates against live sheep exports. When Big Tony brings the Libs into power in 2013, Susan gets to wear a lot of different ministerial hats. But Susan's in hot water in 2017 for buying an investment property with her boyfriend while on a taxpayer-funded work trip, and everyone gets mad and she has to step down. She gets another crack as minister under ScoMo in 2018, and then she's environment minister in 2019. And, again, Susan's being sued for ruining the future of the planet for the children.
She's being sued by some children.
Exactly. But don't worry, it's fine. In the end, it doesn't matter. So now she can celebrate by opening a bunch of mines and discarding any policies that protect native wildlife. And now it's Susan's time to shine. She's the leader of the ops. But she's going to need to break up with that property boyfriend, which she does at this time. Side note, didn't know how to put this in. She breaks up with Graham in 2022, and 6 months later, he gets into a car accident and dies. And she's going to Israel, whatever. It's a weird year for Susan.
Yeah. I'm so conspiracy brained.
Which brings us...
Yitzhak Rabin killed Graham.
It's anyway, so that brings us to now, where Susan is walking the edge of the glass cliff and praying that she isn't cannibalized by her own people.
Yeah.
What do you think about Susan? Who is she? And more importantly, how do you answer those questions that we've kind of gone through, which you have answered already, which is, where's Susan from? What does Susan do? What does Susan believe? And who is Sussan Ley? Like, where are we at here?
So she's of the Empire. Ultimately, I think her mindset is that we own all of this more than anything else. She's not of Britain, but she's of the Empire. Definitely what's come to mind does center around the 2017 property thing, where I wonder if she absolutely was doing something illegal, and now this is something that is known, and they have used that to, I don't know, control her as a party. Like, hey, you can't be saying this Palestine shit. You can't be saying this sheep shit.
Yeah.
We know you fucked up. You could be arrested.
Do you want us to support you, or do you want to be fucking booted?
We get a lot out of you.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose you, but sometimes you step out of line.
Yeah.
She gets sent to Israel. Especially given we know that Liebler and Ajak focus on conservative politicians as much as possible, drag them over as frequently as possible. Not just conservative, all politicians in Australia. Anyone not radically left.
Yeah, anyone who there is a chance of converting onto the kind of Zionism cause.
Yeah.
It's yeah, cool, we'll do that.
And so on that side, it's Susan believes the last thing she's heard.
Yeah.
And the more conspiratorial part of me definitely believes the former, that she has legitimately broken some kind of significant law, perhaps regarding tax, in a way that should render her disqualified for Parliament and perhaps facing further legal consequences, and that Turnbull and them have kept that under wraps with the understanding that she needs to now behave better, and she hasn't been advocating for all of those same things since roughly that time.
Yeah.
But that does look the same as Susan just kind of believes the last thing she's heard. Says what? Yeah. I guess it's sad to see that really colorful setup end up that this mediocre.
Right? It feels much like, a lot of the every time we look at somebody, it's you have such an interesting and storied past, and then you became the person you are now, which is just a critical failure.
Critical failure.
Unfortunate on every aspect.
A mundane, ordinary person. It's disappointing, I suppose. I guess I don't quite understand what drew her to the Liberal Party in her youth.
Basically, just I think that was the party of the area that she's in.
Right, so it was just the way to get, yeah.
It's you said the rural liberal national coalition stuff is very much where she's at, because she's out in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Where Labor doesn't really have that kind of stronghold with rural Australia in the same way that the Liberals and the Nationals do, especially in the 90s.
Maybe joining the Liberal Party may as well be I'm joining politics.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the option.
That's the party,
have. And she, seems, I don't necessarily think she seems ambitious.
No, I think
I think she wants to succeed at what she's doing, but it doesn't seem like she's got some grand plan.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because she's kind of just flitted from thing to thing.
And quite extreme things. Especially when it comes to she's had almost opposing views on Palestine and Israel. I guess, in that first quote, she leaves the window open, right? She's I don't believe there can be a stable Israel without a stable Palestine. And if she gets convinced that the Palestinians are going to keep attacking Israel, and her prior is that there should be a stable Israel before anything else, then you can see how, okay, well, if the Palestinians aren't actually good, that's, I guess, is that what they told her? They showed her some AI video of Palestinians, talking to Satan or whatever.
They were hey, that Palestinian kid that you sponsored through World Vision, actually, huge terrorist.
Huge terrorist.
Killed millions.
There's a video of them shooting Israelis.
Yeah. You know, shit like that, where it just feels very crazy, in the same way it felt crazy with Albanese as well, to actually go to Palestine and see the conditions, imposed on them by Israel.
And speak specifically about them.
And speak specifically about it, and, like, for all intents and purposes, fully believe and be on board with the cause of a free Palestine, and then just change that completely. Like, it's so dirty, and I think it speaks to a fundamental flaw within people, be it one that was already there or one that was created through, like, pressure and circumstance. But it feels foul in the same way, like, gangrene is foul. Like, it's a spiritual rot that has occurred here that you can completely change your tune in a way that because, like, you know what's happening. Like, you can't even be like, oh, I'm ignorant. No,
she's
like, you know what's happening.
And we know that she knows because she's spoken relatively eloquently about it.
Something you really believe. Yes.
You know? Like, she's made specific reviews. Like, I guess this is different to Albo, which when he became a politician, when he got into the Friends of Palestine, he still, I think, struck a conciliatory tone much of the time towards Israel. And more recently has been more positive, explicitly positive towards Israel. Whereas she, I think, spoke about Israel in indictment language, in the language of indictment, and sponsors kids over there and shit. Like, and we are meant to believe that she was shown some things and it changed her mind.
Yeah.
And either the conclusion we can take from that is she is either a dullard or compromised in some way or another.
Yeah, like...
Because I just don't know what it is that you could see. I don't know what it is that they're going to show you that you can't just tell us.
Right? What tends to happen is the people that we have put into power here for what we see as their beliefs at the moment we chose to elect them. It's a flimsy belief, and it's a belief that can be changed over the course of time, especially when self-interest is involved.
Yeah.
And I think no matter how noble and self-sacrificing and dedicated to the cause you are at the time of your election, there is no way to make a career out of politics that doesn't involve in you being corrupt.
Yeah, that's how you succeed in politics.
You can't...
Absolutely.
Exactly. And also it's just like how it is, right? Like, when you take the ideas of representing people and making laws and controlling a population as a job, like, that's a job that you do.
That's your occupation.
That's your occupation. Now you've gone and fucked it all up.
It's done.
Because this isn't like an occupation. This isn't a job. This is something that is super fucking important, and I think is one of the many reasons why we shouldn't have career politicians.
No.
Like,
everyone should have to do it.
Everybody,
once.
Like, yeah, it's jury duty or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I think everybody has to fucking do it.
Yep.
And yeah. You know, so Susan has a really interesting backstory and a very disappointing present.
Yeah, like, just way too fascinating for... It's interesting that happened, but also it's perhaps just a very extreme example of what happens to all politicians.
Yeah.
It's quite an extreme example.
Yeah.
But the story could be leading to such a fascinating person, and it just doesn't.
Yeah, all roads lead to, like, whatever fucking bullshit we've got going on now.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Susan.
That's Susan.
Sussan.
She's sus Susan. I don't know what to make of her other than, like, I don't like her.
Reasonable.
I would... Susan, come on the pod. We need to chat with
Susan,
you.
come on the pod.
Figure this all out.
Hey, Susan, what the fuck is going on?
You think she's going to last till the end of the year?
I reckon we're gonna get a March upheaval.
March upheaval. You're saying March.
I reckon they'll make it through the rest of the year because nobody wants to be dealing with this shit over the holidays. I reckon the start of the year will go pretty well. I think we'll see issues forming perhaps in, like, January, February, and there'll be, like, a fucking spill or whatever in March, you know.
I think that makes sense. I think because they've stopped sitting for the year because they're so fucking unemployed.
They're so fucking... For somebody who, like, is like, oh, this is my whole job. Like,
it's November.
Fucking go to work.
Right? Jesus.
It's like, oh, we just sit for, like, 50 days of the year. It's pretty hard work.
Oh, we only get, $300,000 for it.
Yeah, I don't get paid very much, so you have to pay for my 37 trips to the Gold Coast. Yeah, one of those trips was like her to go to like a rich woman's New Year's Eve party, and she's like, "Oh, I was networking."
He was networking. Yeah, she's the defense industry advocate.
You know?
Oh, fuck. Thanks for putting that together.
Of course. Thank you for
was
listening.
Delightful, very kooky, very strange person.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe this is a bit of an obituary. Like, not obituary, I don't think he's going to die.
Susan is about to fucking die.
I do think that Andrew Hastie is going to be leader of the opposition within 2 weeks of us recording this episode.
That would be really, really funny.
So we'll see what happens. But, you know, we'll see if we ever hear from her after that happens.
You know, we'll find out.
And that'll wrap us up for the day.
It shall.
Thank you all for joining us on this little biography episode. I know that the bio episodes are really popular, so it's exciting to have one back going. And I hope you enjoyed learning about Sussan Ley as much as I did, at least. Like, very strange character, lots of extremely positive points back in the day for somebody in her position, and now she's just a ghoul like the rest of them.
Classic.
Shouldn'ta Come is a production of us, the Shouldn'ta crew. We are on Patreon, www.patreon.com/shouldntacome. That's SHOULDNTACOME @gmail.com. Oh, sorry, yeah. Also that @gmail.com. Our email is that @gmail.com, shouldntacome@gmail.com. And these episodes with slides are on youtube.com/shouldntacome. We will be back next week with another episode. I don't know.
And you'll find out what it's about when you hear it.
You'll find out when we find out.
Perfect.
And I hope everyone's doing well.
It's fucking hot though, so like, hey, stay cool out there.
We're gonna end our app now. I'll let everyone know that we will take, not next week, but sometime soon, we will take a couple weeks off around the new year. So get excited for that. And have a wonderful December.
Love ya. Bye.
Love ya. Bye.